too big a word. That's like mayonnaise. I'm sure that's the biggest word I know.
Hello, everybody, and welcome on into our Unabated Tools Demo Tutorial. Today, I'm Thomas Viola, and I am going to be here walking you through the basics, the nuts and bolts of how to use Unabated.com, how to use our odds screen, how to use the prop simulator, a couple other nice little fun wrinkles that we can get into and talk about as well. And I'll be here to answer your questions every step of the way. If you have any questions about how anything works, anything you want to know, throw them in the comments. And hey, if you're interested, if we have time, maybe talk a little bit. I'm more than happy to tell you how I personally use our tools. But the beauty of Unabated and the beauty of what we have to offer is there are so many different ways that you can win, and people are using the tools in all different and creative ways. So you're really able to go dig in and find your own things as well, because there's more than one path to profitability, and there's more than one path to positive EV betting. Now, of course, we're doing the show here live. Real quick, just want to give a heads up. I apologize if I have to stop and clear my throat at any point here. Also, if you give me 1 second, I just want to throw a little message in our Discord real quick, see if there's anyone else, because I know we have a ton of new friendly faces who are ready to use Unabated, who haven't been a part of the system before. And so I want to make sure that we get as many people in here as possible who might need some help learning how to use the tools, because I understand it can be a lot being thrown at you all at once. And also, if you're not already a part of the Discord, it's a fantastic, helpful source for more ways to use the tools and just to meet with like-minded plus EV bettors. Use the description in the link below. You can just sloop down there all the way to the bottom, and it's going to have a link to join the Discord so that you can be a part of the community too. It is fantastic. It is awesome, and it is free. There are premium channels, but if you are not a premium subscriber, that's okay. There's still plenty for you to get to. So give me 1 second here to get this message off, and then I'll be good to go. And then also, if you want a one-on-one demo as well, feel free to use the other link in the description here, the one for Calendly, and you can set up a personal one-on-one demo with either myself or Johnny Moe to walk through the tools, get your own questions answered in person, face-to-face, one-to-one, not in person, but over Zoom. You know what I mean. All right, that message is sent. We can let people scroll in, but let's get off and down to business here. First off, thank you so much for being with me again. Feel free, hit that comment section. Yeah, that side. Hit that comment section. Give me any questions, anything that you want to learn as we go along. If you need me to stop, if you need me to repeat something, more than happy to be there and do that. But for the most part here, this is going to be the running through of the nuts and bolts. If you want to get a good idea of how the tools work, this is the spot to be in. Let's get started here, shall we? And this is the main odds screen. This is the main odds screen here. And as you can see, there is, of course, a lot to get to and a lot to talk about, a lot about what these numbers mean and all that. I'm going to walk you through the functionality first. And then once we get through the functionality, then I'll start talking a little bit more about the meaning behind some of these tools. But to start us off here, you have, of course, up in the top left corner, you've got your sport selection tool. So you'll be able to go through, select all the sports here. You can also use the drop-down menu up above. The next one you can choose your spread, your money line, your totals. So you can choose from your main markets there, or you can view the combined view and it'll show you a spread and a total there. Then the next one is our partial game lines. So we have you of course are default looking at the full game screen. You can look at first half lines, second half lines, quarter lines as well. We got the whole kit and caboodle here for you. Now, unfortunately, there aren't really any games going on live right now, so I can't show off the live tab, but when there are games live in action, the in-game feed will actually bring you in live lines from a bunch of different sports books. We don't have an unabated line for live, but you will be able to see a bunch of different markets there and be able to quickly track how the in-game markets are moving. It's a fantastic tool for betting in-game as well, but we're going to stick to the pre-game menu for now. The next one up here, of course, your date. You can't go into the future because, well, we don't have odds for future events. But for events in the past here, you can go back and you can view historical line data. And we go back a long ways here so that you can check out old games. Well, I probably shouldn't bring you to a time when there weren't any football games going on. But see, you can see lines for old games and old data as well. It's a great tool right there to have at your disposal. But let's go back to the present. The next thing is your filters. You can view games. You can view games that are upcoming, only games that are live, only games that are final. You can toggle games off if they're final and you don't want to see them anymore. Of course, all these other options, as well as show my games. Now, my games are games that you hit with a little star over here. If you just want to use it as an organizational tactic, you only want to see lines for 4 or 5 NFL games, just boop, 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 star them, and then filter it to only show your games. And that is what it will show for you there. Then you have your search function. Great, especially for if you're looking through props, which we will get to here, or if you simply need to search for a team. NFL, there aren't as many games that you have to search for, but if you're searching through the college basketball state, you want to find Siena, you can just type it in and it is going to pull it up for you like so. Then the next thing over here, of course, we're defaulted to American odds, but you can choose between decimal, probability, even sport trade odds if you so like to. And for exchanges, you can include or exclude commission in your lines there. And you can also include or exclude the best alt line as well. That is a very fantastic feature. Then we go over here to the next section, and we have a bunch of different betting tools here that we can work with. The compare lines calculator is one of my favorites. This is great for, let's say you need to know which is the better line on a game. Sometimes it's pretty simple, but sometimes it's not. And so, for example, here, Pinnacle has the Cardinals at +4.5, and DraftKings has them at +6, -108 versus +115. Well, which line is better? Even then, we could take this 4.5 and this 5.5 at DraftKings at -104. And we can just click on both of these lines here, and we can hit the compare lines tool, and it is going to spit out, okay, the 4.5 +115 is better than the +5.5 -104, because 5.5 -104 equals 4.5 +104. So as you can see, there's a whole 10 cents of juice there, and the 4.5 +115 is better than the 104. That makes sense to you there, because the 5.5 FanDuel line is -104, which equals 4.5 at +104, and we're getting 4.5 +115. Again, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments in the chat, and I will be happy to answer them. Some more tools that we have for you that are really great. We've got the alternate lines tool, which is just fantastic. So let's take this Jets Falcons game here, and we're taking the spread. And we want to remove the VIG because you want to get an accurate number here. You want to get an accurate number of what the fair price should be. And if we're saying that the fair price of this game is -2 even money on the Falcons, but we want to know what the price should be if we want to take, let's say we have an alt line and we want to get the Falcons -7. We think they're going to beat the Jets by a touchdown here. We know that the price on that should be +247. And if it's better than that, then we have an edge, and then that's something that we can go bet in the alt line markets. Then, moving on here to the market line history tool. I'm just going to go straight down the list for you guys and show it off. Now, this one is really great because it helps you view market movement. So, for example, on this Falcons-Jets game here, all you do is click on the line, and it's going to show you that sportsbook's line movement all across the week since the line got posted. So we can see it opened at -2.5, and then it's gone up to 3, back to 2.5, and it's just vacillated before coming down to its current price of 2. And you can click on any book, any price, and it's going to show that off for you. Fantastic tool for just seeing what the market history has been so far. Next up, we have the alt line tools. This is a premium tool right here, but it's really useful. Again, you just click on the spread. If you're getting the pattern here, You click on the spread, and the tool is going to get it for you, and it's going to fetch the alt line prices and what the edge on those alt line prices is. Not a lot of edges here, but then we get down into some of these markets, and now all of a sudden saying, okay, you have a 2.1% edge on the New York Jets to win this game by 6.5 at plus 281. So if you want to take a shot in an alt line market, this is a really good way for you to immediately see how fair value plays out in those markets. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you isn't a premium tool. This is a concierge tool, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek here. If you decide one day you want to move up a little bit in the war, you want to move up, you want to get the concierge option here. This is what you're looking at. It's the Edge Rusher, and you select it, and it is going to immediately give you the unabated odds screen. It's going to search the entire screen here, and as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of alt line edges in the market right now. It is going to seek and find those out and bring them straight to you. It's a fantastic tool. It is only available in our concierge tier, but just wanted to show that off for you real quick. Next up, we have the college football news toggle right here, which is great. Although, unfortunately, college football season is just about at its end. But if you are betting college news, you can find all sorts of information on player status, trending news, all of that right here at your screen. And it is a fantastic and helpful way to go about getting all of your college news in one place, because it's tough that there's not really an aggregate for that like there is for NFL or NBA injury news here. All right. So that's the nuts and bolts of how the odds screen works. I'm going to get into now what some of this stuff means. Because, and one more thing before I forget, all of these sports books, you move them around. You can move them around. You can adjust your screen, and you can head on up here to the settings tab, and it is going to tell you, it is going to allow you to toggle them from the best line feature. It is going to allow you to toggle them to show on the screen at all. So, for example, I might not necessarily want to see what bookmakers line is when it comes to the best line tool, because I don't have a bookmaker account, so I'm not betting with bookmaker. I'm not interested in what their best line is, but bookmaker's a sharp book. I like to see what they do have in the market, what they're posting as their price. So I might toggle them off my best line feature there, but keep them on my odds screen. Now, let's talk about this best line column here, because it's got a couple different things that we're going to want to talk about. The first one, of course, is your edge percentage. And as I say that is the first one here, I'm going to kind of circle back to that one, because this is what it's telling you the edge is based on the current best line in the market. How's it comparing that edge? It's using the unabated line. The unabated line is what makes the unabated odds screen really special. It's our custom blend of herbs and spices, where essentially we're taking a look at the market making books across all different sports. And we're saying, okay, we know that these are the market making books for NFL. And we put them together, we take their lines, blend them up in our own custom blend. And the unabated line is the result of that. It's us saying, based on the current market prices and how we weight each of these books, based on the current market price among sharp books, this is the fair price on this game right now. It is a top-down bettor's dream. And so then we take that fair price, and this is the VIG-free fair true probability price. So right now, for the Cardinals game against the Steelers, the true fair price is plus 6.5 minus 101 on the Cardinals and minus 6.5 plus 101 on the Steelers, based on the current prices at market making books. Then we go over here and we see our friends at Sport Trade have this game at minus 5.5 minus 113 on the Steelers. That is a 0.3% edge against this unabated line price. That's always what the edge tool is going to be telling you is the price. That the edge tool is always going to be comparing to the unabated line. Does that make sense? Feel free to fire off in the chat if you want more explanation on that. But the unabated line is what we use as our source of truth when it comes to these mainline markets. The next one up here is the hold calculator. If you don't understand what theoretical hold is, feel free to fire off in the chat. This is what calculates the synthetic hold based on the markets that we have here. So this is the hold for every one of these games. And I'm trying to go through and see if I can find one that's negative, but I can't. So I'm going to go to the basketball screen and boom. Bryant versus Brown right here. We've got a negative synthetic hold in this market. And what this means is you could theoretically bet the best line at both shops here, at FanDuel and at Sports Interactive, and you can have an arbitrage opportunity. You can potentially come out with a locked-in profit on an arbitrage. That's what that's what a negative synthetic hold means. You're always looking for low synthetic hold markets because, well, as bettors, our goal is to have the hold be as low as possible here. And you can also see we've got some various edges along the way. And you normally are going to find more edges in lower hold markets, but not always the case. It depends on the pricing. Whew, all right. I have been talking for like 15 minutes straight here. I need a moment to catch my breath, and then we're going to move on to the props tool. But again, any questions, anything that I can answer for you, more than happy to. Just throw it in the chat. But now, let's move on. Let's have some fun with props, shall we? And also, we have a hard out at noon Pacific time here, because if you want even more proppy goodness, you can go and check out our other YouTube stream. Just go back to the channel, and you can check out our prop show with Derek Carty from EV Analytics and the Blitz. Fantastic show. We have a great time. We're talking about props for the week, but let's take a look at the at the Unabated prop simulator and how it can help you. So first of all, again, same deal here. You've got your sports tab, and then you've got your markets tab. Now we show the markets for a bunch of different props, but anything that says sim next to it, we have access to the Unabated prop simulator. And what that's going to do is you upload your projections in, hit the green triangle button here, and it is going to go through and it is going to simulate the lines for all of these prop markets here for you based on the projections you put in. How do you put those? We'll talk about exactly what that means in a second, but how do you put those projections in? You have a couple different options. You can use the built-in projections that we have for you, and they are preloaded in here. So for example, if I want to use Fantasy Pros numbers, they are preloaded in. It might take a minute. There's a lot of numbers here, but you can do the same thing with Number Fire, or you can do the same thing with the Blitz, which you do need an EV Analytics subscription in order to do, but we make it really easy for you to link that account. You would literally just go here, click this, and it'll send you right where you need to go to even purchase the subscription and to link your account. Or you can upload your own props, and you do that using our projections template here. You can download the template here, and it will have the file format that you need in Excel so that you can put all of your projection numbers in like that, and it will map it out. And then you go down here, you click upload, choose your file, bring it in, or you can use our new easy mapper that can map them from any source. You don't have to worry about putting them into the proper format. If you're having trouble with that, though, of course, it helps to be in the right format. And hey, yes, if you're using ETR, you can just download the CSV straight from ETR's website, bring it over here, punch it in, and you're good to go and golden. Now, let's talk about blending projections, because you also have the ability to wait out and blend your projections. You can simply hit include, and then you use the sliders here, and it is going to move around your numbers. You can even lock them in like that, and it is going to allow you to blend and weight your projections however you would like. And I'm actually going to delete these real quick because I will forget that I did that and have different numbers when I go to bet things. But for now, let's talk about what we're looking at next here, because we hit the simulate button, we've run our simulations, and it spat out all of these big edges for us here. And you can see we've got Gardner Minshew passing completions under 21.5. It's a 31% edge. That's a whopper of an edge, especially when we were seeing like 2%, 3% on the mainline screen. Now, the reason that we're seeing these larger edges here is because these numbers are comparing to the projection set you've put in. So the edges aren't based on a mathematical line from the market. They're not taking all of the different sports books and putting together an unabated line like they do for main markets. Props just aren't efficient enough where that's a way that you can really be betting these. You need a projection source, and your edges are only going to be as accurate as your projections. And again, projections are still predicting the future. It's hard. It's not as much of an exact science as the mathematical edges of top-down betting mainline markets are. So that 31% edge, that's not a true edge. That's based on your projection set. If you have a bad projection set, well, your edges are going to be overly inflated. They're not going to be correct, because all the simulator can do is use the info that you are putting in. That being said, the Blitz is a pretty good projection set. And while this edge probably isn't 31%, me personally, my flavor when I like to go and bet props, normally in the 15 to 35 category, that's where I'm going to be betting those edges. And I'm definitely not full Kelly betting those edges. I recommend mapping out whatever it is that you are going to use as your staking for props. I like to keep my prop staking a little bit lower, like maybe going half a unit or 2/3 of a unit rather than going with a full unit like I would on a mainline play. Just because you want to build in a little bit of an extra buffer because props are a more variance-based market. It's a little bit tougher when it comes to beating them. And by the way, yes, we also have NBA props as well. Although I don't have any projections for NBA props right now, so I can't show that to you, but I can plug in the Fantasy Pros numbers. And it is the same thing right here. The simulator is going to kick in. It is going to do all the work for you. And if you're a concierge member, you can even sort by best line. Right there. Boom. But again, remember what I said about using projections. I highly recommend you either make your own projections or use a projection set that you trust personally. That is simply the best way that I can recommend we do this. All right. Any questions here? Oh, bruh in the chat wants to know, when you find edges on alt lines or props, is it more profitable to do the shotgun approach on all edges you can find in the unabated, or are you trying to be more surgical and selective in what you bet? That is a great question here, and it's a great way to open up our Q&A portion here over the next couple minutes. I'm a little more selective when it comes to when it comes to alt lines, when it comes to alt lines and props. Like I already said, I like betting in the 15 to 35% range when it comes to the prop markets. Anything lower than that, I'm like, okay, do I really have an edge here? Anything higher than that, I'm thinking my projections are probably what's wrong here, and the market is more likely to be correct than I am on having this monster edge. Like when it gets up that high, you're probably the one who's wrong, not the rest of the market there, if that makes sense. When it comes to alt lines, my biggest suggestion there is be careful with what you're betting. First off, if you're betting a bunch of stuff where it's going to be this massive alt spread, and yeah, you have like a 5, 7, 10% edge, but it's like the Jets to win by 14, like Jets minus 13.5 or something like that on this week's game, and it's plus 480, making up those numbers, by the way. Be careful in betting something like that, because first off, your break-even percentage is so low because you're going to hit those at such a low rate. I don't like to play a full unit on those. I like to play to win a full unit, and that is the that's the way that I approach it. And the other thing is be careful about building in correlation. Like when I showed you that, and hang on, I'll go back to it here. When I showed you those alt lines, you saw that you had a couple different edges. And hang on one second. There we go. So if I scroll down here, you see you have a bunch of different edges. Of course, if you were to just bet all of these right here, like your variance is going to be your variance is going to be insane because your correlation is insane, and you're either going to win all of them or chances are lose most of them. So it's going to be, you have big winning days and then big losing days, and it's really back and forth and up and top. So don't bet too many alt lines on the same game because you're building in a ton of correlation there, if that makes sense. Alex and Jeff wants to know, how do you deal with sportsbook limits? That is a great question. And one of the best things is, first off, you got to make sure that you're spreading it around. Don't just be hammering one thing at one place. Of course, if you're betting high enough that you're getting noticed and you're potentially getting limited there, you want to sprinkle in some other plays, sprinkle in some dumb parlays, sprinkle in some things that try and throw off the scent of making yourself look more square. This is very art of sports betting stuff. Captain Jack is by far the better source for information on it than I am. He talks about them on the premium live streams, ways to mask yourself, ways to get down, ways to do the art of sports betting stuff. The number one thing that I can recommend is make sure you are not hammering the same exact things all the time at the same exact books. Yes, DraftKings alt lines might be a good source for you, and I'm making that up because I'm using that example here. This isn't me telling you go bet DraftKings alt lines. This is purely a hypothetical example. But don't just hammer one thing at one book. That's the number one thing that I can tell you. I got kicked off a PPH book once because I was just absolutely hammering WNBA stuff. And the guy said, all right, you're done and out of here. Forget about it. That's the best information that I can give you on dealing with sportsbook limits here. Nathan wants to ask, anywhere to get some sort of analysis on the accuracy of various projection sources? Does Unabated have recommended sources? Johnny Moe, our wonderful Johnny Moe, is doing those calculations. He's keeping track of a bunch of different projection sources to have that information for you guys. Contact him in the Discord for that information. And I believe he's posting it publicly in, at the very least, some of the premium channels here. I am not positive on that right now, but I can tell you that, yes, we are working on doing exactly that and giving you recommendations. My personal recommendation, take this for what you will. I am by far not the best gambler at Unabated. But I will say I do love the Blitz. I think their projections are pretty good. And again, this is me personally. I've been having a great time with Derek. We've been doing well. Establish the Run is, of course, the gold standard for both football and basketball. Their football numbers are sharper than their basketball numbers, but also be careful there. It's very expensive. It's like $50 a week, $60 a week for their projections. You have to be betting a certain amount. You have to be betting a couple $100 on a per play almost in order for it to be worth it for you to take the hit on your bankroll, which should be, I'd say, at least 10K if you're going to be buying those projections. Some other good sources, Basketball Monster is something that a lot of people go to. It's a good, cheaper option for basketball. BadX from EV Analytics when we get into baseball season is great. I also love using Razzball. I like using a little cocktail of the two of those because Razzball is really cheap and BadX is, and both them and BadX are pretty good projection sources. Those would be my biggest recommendations there. And also, if you have any more questions about those, feel free to shoot me an email. Feel free to DM me at TV at Work. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us. I wish I could answer more of your questions if you have them today, but I do have a hard out because we have to go do the Derek Carty prop show in 2 minutes right now. You can stay tuned right here on the YouTube channel. We'll be going live right here with that show in just about 2 minutes. But for now, I do have to say goodbye. Thank you so much. I want to remind you, check the links in the description of this video. You can schedule a one-on-one webinar with me. You can reach out to me, tomv@unabated.com. If you don't already have my email, you're going to be getting one from me this afternoon because you were in this webinar, assuming you signed up through Calendly. If you came through the Discord here, I don't have your email right off the bat, but you can also hit me up on Discord. Anywhere that you want to get in touch with me, TV at Work on Twitter, feel free to hit me up. I'm here to help you with all of your needs, everything that, any questions that you may have about using the Unabated tools. But thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you so much for being a part of Unabated. It has been a pleasure, and I will see you next time. And one more time, head on over, check out the Derek Carty video. I'll be live in 1 more minute, but I got to go get a drink of water before then. Take care, guys, and have a good day.